it is absolutely true that we have made unbelievable amount of progress in a very short amount of time against the Islamic Republic in because of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Okay, whether they're aligned or not aligned 100%, or whether their fight is fake or real, these two men so far have caused a lot of damage, devastating amount of damage for the Islamic Republic. And they have both been responsible for getting us closer to the collapse of the Islamic Republic, more than anyone else in the history of both of their countries so far, right? So, so even if some decisions are made that you would have made differently, or you're getting frustrated about, stop being, just be grateful of what they have done. So if you're getting 90% of what you want and you're not getting the 10%, it's okay to criticize the 10%, but don't forget the 90%. Khamenei is fucking dead. And it's because of these two men and their decisions. And that has been a huge leap forward in our fight against Islamic Republic. The IRGC, the top leaders of IRGC being dead, the Islamic Republic is never going to get them back. And unlike what many people tell you, they're not replaceable. They are not fucking replaceable. They had so much knowledge and experience. And every time one layer is removed, the second layer and the third layer is just not as good. There's a reason why they were in charge. If the second layer was as good, if the third layer was as good, they would be in charge. There's a reason why they were in charge, right? So this is a lot of damage that the Islamic Republic is, and honestly, I think like we are speed running through the fall of the Islamic Republic. It just doesn't feel like that we're speed running because we had higher expectations, and because we're measuring things based on our lifetime rather than how much historically it takes for regimes to fall, right? But if you actually look at other regimes falling, this is actually pretty fast. So keep that in mind. Um, and also keep in mind that whenever we have a disagreement among us, if if your position ended up being the right thing, the right. But let's say, for example, some people are saying A is happening, some people are saying B is happening, and you were on the team A, and it ends up being A, and you were right. Okay, you haven't won anything if you alienated and the B people by attacking them. So if you constantly attack the B people with the B position, at the end of this, if you end up being the right person, you didn't win anything. We lost the B people. We lost the B people because you were constantly attacking them, right? I'm not saying be quiet. I'm not saying don't make your points. I'm not saying don't disagree with them, but make sure that while you're doing that, the A and the B people, we're both against the Islamic Republic. Do it in a way that we keep them with us, right? Because you don't get any points by being right. We get a lot of points by saying united, but we don't get that many points. Like, the Islamic Republic is not going to get weaker because you had the right position. Okay, the Islamic Republic is going to get weaker because we keep fighting together on the same path. um One thing I think what we should try to do is that the people that you think are wrong about this position, you need to also make them feel like they're being heard. So you might get frustrated with them, like, why do these idiots, why are they not saying what I'm saying? What I'm saying is so fucking obvious. Like, how could they not understand this, right? Well, if they're not agreeing with you, make sure that when they're expressing the wrong position, they feel like you're listening to them. And as long as you're making them feel heard, at the end of the day, we're gonna figure out, who's right, who's right. Or maybe we will never figure it out. It doesn't matter. Uh, just while you disagree with them, just make them feel included in this fight against the Islamic Republic. And then lastly, I want to say is that what President Trump does is really not up to us. What Prime Minister Netanyahu does is not really up to us. So whatever we think they're doing and whatever we think that the decision making process is, we don't have much control over. These are powers beyond us. So getting frustrated over something that you don't have much of leverage over in changing is doesn't make much of a sense. So once in a while we should remind ourselves that we should be thinking more about what we can do, right? What President Trump does, I have no control over that. What Israel does, what the Islamic Republic does, I have not much control over. But what I do have control over, what all of us here have do control over, is whether we will give up or we will or whether we will just keep fighting, right? So always just ask yourself, if President Trump makes the right decision, the right decision or the wrong decision, what do? I keep fighting against the Islamic Republic. If Prime Minister Netanyahu makes the right decision or the wrong decision, what do? I keep fighting against the Islamic Republic. If anyone else, any Marco Rubio, Prince Joseph Pahlavi, whoever, even if the IDF, whoever, okay, we know the Islamic Republic is evil. We know that the whole world benefits from getting rid of this evil. It will be one of the greatest contribution to liberty around the world. This is not just a problem of Israel, United States, and the Iranian people. The Islamic Republic is a problem of the whole planet, the whole world. This is the greatest evil that exists in the planet. And if I'm fighting against evil, fighting against the Islamic Republic makes sense regardless of whether other people are making the right or wrong decision. I'll just focus on that. I'll focus mostly on what is the best strategy right now for me. What actions should I be taking? Right? I'm not saying we shouldn't be analyzing other people's decision making process and what they ultimately decide, because that impacts what I do. So we should be talking about it. But the most important thing to focus on at the end of the day is what is my contribution and what do I do, because that's the only thing I can change. All right. Sorry, that took a while. Who's next?
Thank you, Armin. Shana is next.
Just really quick, I don't know what to think about the thing. I feel like I could see it both ways, of it being a little bit of a show play or it being a real fight or some weird clusterfuck in between. I don't know. But I do want to point out that I know that a lot of Israelis and non-Americans feel like they're just seeing Americans complain about gas prices or food prices or whatever, and they're like, "Whatever, you guys have the richest economy in the world, blah 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 blah." Um, I think it's really important to understand America's huge, and there's people in the middle of the country who are actually feeling hit. Farmers are losing their farms because of fertilizer. There's a lot of complications. There's closures going on, loans and things like that. People are really struggling in certain parts of the country. I know it's frustrating because you look at our global market, but that doesn't mean that all Americans are feeling that. And we on the coast tend to be a little bit more privileged in certain areas. And we also tend to be much more aware, because we're on coasts, we're much more aware of what's going on internationally. So I just want to say that, like, one of the things that Trump is trying to balance, I believe, is this internal versus coastal difference that we have basically always had in America, just because they're different economies and different lifestyles, and it's just a challenge that we have in the United States. It's just one of those factors. So I think that a lot of Americans, if they didn't feel like they were struggling, they would be much more likely to feel supportive. And one of the things I don't think people are turning on Israel. I think people are feeling like they're getting ignored. I think that's what's happening. So whatever you see about people turning on Israel, I think much more it's people are turning on being ignored. That's part of why Trump got elected, was because the middle of the country felt unheard. So I just kind of want to point that out for the international people, to just keep that in mind. There are people who are struggling. You probably aren't going to see them because they're not going to be on mainstream news.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to think about that. Cat lady, go ahead.
Yeah. I want to say I agree with uh, actually most of you. I can actually see most of the points. I just want to add one thing that I am actually a little worried if I was like not as an Israeli, okay? I'm a little worried for America because uh, when you're the world largest superpower, you cannot show weakness because the moment you do, someone will take advantage. This will be dangerous for Americans. It's I'm worried about that. No matter if it's a game or not, people will remember weakness showed. Maybe they won't even remember like afterwards what happened, but it's not good. Overall, but as an Israeli, overall, I'm happy because the IRGC tried to change the equation and we didn't let them. So they're put in place right now, and also and it's a huge push. I hope, I think, for the collapse of the regime. So I'm happy for that as well. Um, and I'm just waiting to see, but I don't think it's America first, by the way, to be uh, doing things that maybe will affect long term, but it's on the outer side of the country. Not, I don't know about what Shona says. I get it's different. Yeah, that's my 10 cents.
Okay, thank you. And next is Jeffrey.
So this is why I said there are certain things, all these operational things that are going on, particularly when it came to the pause. People are like, well, is it like, did Donald Trump pivot? Is there a disconnection in the administration? When really a lot of that had to do with the munitions that we had, right? So in the first 96 hours, we expend over 5,000 munitions. And to give you an example of like maybe some of the percentages, this is the best open source intelligence assessment I can provide of our national stockpile. We spent between 23 and 27% of our overall Tomahawk TLAMs. We spent 23% of our JASM long-range standoff munitions. We spent 67% of our THAAD interceptors, which is why, like, after the 12-day war, we're like, oh shit, we have to like bump up our fucking production, right? That's why we had to move things from Ukraine and all this other stuff. 61% of our PRISM precision strike missiles. We burned through 53% of our Patriot missiles. We burned through roughly 47% of our SM3s, that's like sea-based interceptors, and 24% of our SM6s. So that's why we switched to like munitions away from target to munitions over of target, read like lower cost things like brilliant guide munitions, why I kept pushing for it. And so what does that mean? It means that the pause was done because once you fire, like, it's not, the missiles aren't endless. The stock, I mean, they're broad, they're not endless. And when we fire missiles out of a vertical launch cell, you can't just like have another ship come in and go, okay, boys, let's fucking load it back. It's not like loading a cannon. They actually have to go back to port to go through a process of reloading them. Add to that the fact that we were fucked by our Western European members of NATO because they denied us our use of our air bases and subsequently our heavy aircraft, which would have allowed us to take out a lot more of that in the timetable that was there, including now. And you have what we have now. So why am I saying that? There is there some people that have different ideas on things throughout the administration? Sure, no administration's a homogenized block. That said, the pause wasn't like this, oh my God, there is like a split in the alliance. It's, wow, we really put out a lot of sting on these fucks and we got to reload shit. That took a minute. That's not easy. Like, you have to sail back to port. It takes like a week to just once you're at port, it takes about a week to load that shit on. It's not like lickety splickety, right? And so a lot of actors a lot of adversaries are co-opting what looks like disagreement or delay or dismissal at the very superficial level. Well, what to misrepresent it as that, and it isn't that. Now, like the US and Israel have like differences on how to skin this cat. There's some truth to that. That's within all alliances from the Second World War to today. That doesn't mean that America somehow said, fuck Israel. President Trump and all of his cabinet, to the best of my knowledge, are so ungodly supportive and loving of Israel. And President Trump personally is very concerned about Iranian people. Like when I hear shit like, oh my God, I think maybe Donald Trump, is this the thing this magic word we can use to fuck with Donald and push never Trumpism? When's enough? I'll make it easy. It's never going to be enough. It'll never be time for never Trump or bullshit. Particularly, what's the difference do I mean? Does that mean shut your mouth? No. It means if you are going to offer criticism, do so in the broader context of supporting the office of the president so that we can put forward optimal policies both for U.S. national interests and, most importantly, vulnerable people in Iran. Like, there's some perspective there. Like, I'll close with a personal example yesterday. I won't name any names. When you have someone express to a guy inside Iran, ostensibly part of Iranian resistance, who is legitimately dodging IRGC and besieged remnant douche canoes, say that their concern to them is Trump's environmental policy because climate cock is going to end the world. Holy shit, have some fucking perspective. Do not co-opt the issue for partisan ends. It would be just as shitty if it was an always Trumper saying, well, you can't offer constructive criticism on how to best help us realize our goals. So I guess my point is keep everything within perspective. Donald doesn't hate Iranian people. He quite obviously loves them. We're just trying to find the best way to skin this fucking cat.
All right, let's review your obsession with skinning cats. All right, let's move on. Jonathan had a response, which he wants me to read. Yes, but I'm seeing the media blaming Israel for the ceasefire violations now, even though it was Hezbollah that rejected the Lebanon ceasefire. And by the way, about that, yesterday in the subway, I saw it shows one headline of news, and the headline that it showed was that Israel attacked Lebanon after ceasefire. So yeah, the media definitely spins it that way.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.